The grand halls of the Galactic Council headquarters buzzed with excitement. Hundreds of alien species from across the Milky Way gathered for a historic moment. Today, they would welcome Earth into their ranks. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood tall, her dark hair neatly tied back. Next to her, Dr. James Rodriguez fidgeted with his glasses. They led the small team of humans chosen to represent Earth. "Ready?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. James nodded. "As will ever be." The massive doors swung open. The human delegation stepped into a vast chamber. Tiered seating surrounded a central platform, filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some had tentacles, others had multiple eyes, and a few seemed to float in the air. At the center stood High Counselor Zaxthar, a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms. His voice boomed across the chamber. "Welcome, children of Earth. Today marks a new era of galactic cooperation." Applause and strange alien sounds filled the air. Sarah and James exchanged proud smiles. Centuries of human progress had led to this moment. Zaxthar continued, "Before we begin the formal ceremony, we have prepared a special welcome for our Earth friends. Please, follow me." The human team was led through winding corridors. The aliens around them chittered excitedly. Sarah felt a twinge of unease, but she pushed it aside. This was a day for celebration, not suspicion. They entered a smaller, circular room. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut. The friendly faces of the aliens twisted into sneers and growls. "What's going on?" James demanded, his voice rising in panic. Zaxthar's kind demeanor vanished. His eyes narrowed as he spat. "Did you really think we'd let your savage species join us? Humans are a plague upon the galaxy." Sarah's hand flew to the small weapon hidden in her jacket. But before she could draw it, a wave of energy swept through the room. The humans collapsed, their muscles paralyzed. "Earth is a threat to galactic peace," Zaxthar declared. "The Council has decided. Your planet will be cleansed." Horror dawned on Sarah's face as the magnitude of the betrayal became clear. Tears streamed down James' cheeks as he struggled against the paralysis. "Why?" Sarah managed to croak out. A new alien stepped forward, its body a mass of writhing tentacles. "We've watched your history, humans. Your violence. Your greed. You'd destroy us all given the chance. We're simply striking first." Alarms blared throughout the station. On screens around the room, the humans watched in terror as a massive fleet of alien ships emerged from hyperspace near Earth. "No," James screamed. "You can't do this. Billions of innocent people." Zaxthar sneered. "Innocent? No human is innocent. Your species must be erased for the good of the galaxy." The paralyzed humans were dragged away, destined for prison cells. But in the chaos, one of them was overlooked. Lieutenant Michael Chang had been at the back of the group. When the paralysis wave hit, he'd stumbled and fallen behind a column. Now he lay silent, his military training kicking in as he assessed the situation. As the room emptied, Michael's mind raced. He had to warn Earth, had to find a way to stop this madness. But how could one man stand against the combined might of the galaxy? With trembling hands, he pulled out his communicator. No signal. The Council was blocking all transmissions to Earth. He was on his own, trapped in the heart of enemy territory. Michael took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. He might die here, but he'd die trying to save his people. With cat-like silence, he slipped out of the room and into the shadows of the alien corridors. As Michael began his desperate mission, the Galactic Council's fleet approached Earth. On his homeworld, people went about their daily lives, blissfully unaware of the betrayal and destruction hurtling towards them. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, and Earth's only hope lay with one man, alone and outgunned in the depths of the Galactic Council's lair. The sky over New York City turned black as thousands of alien ships filled the air. People stopped in the streets, looking up in wonder and fear. For a moment, everything was silent. Then hell broke loose. Beams of energy rained down from the ships, slicing through skyscrapers like butter. Explosions rocked the city. Screams filled the air as people ran for their lives. In Washington, D.C., General Maria Rodriguez stared at the screens in the Pentagon's war room. Red dots appeared all over the global map, showing alien attacks. "How did they get past our early warning systems?" she demanded. A young officer replied, his voice shaking. They just appeared, ma'am. 1 second nothing. The next, this." Maria's jaw clenched. "Launch all fighters. Get our missile defenses online. And someone get me the president." Around the world, Earth's military scrambled to respond. Jet fighters took to the skies, their missiles barely scratching the alien ships. Tank columns rolled out of bases, only to be vaporized by energy beams from above. In London, Big Ben crumbled. In Tokyo, entire districts vanished in flashes of light. The Great Wall of China was blasted to dust. Aboard the alien flagship, High Counselor Zaxthar watched the destruction with cold satisfaction. "See how easily they fall," he said to his commanders. "These humans are no match for our power." But Earth wasn't going down without a fight. In the skies over Moscow, a squadron of Russian fighters managed to bring down an alien craft. It crashed into the countryside, and teams rushed to study its technology. Off the coast of California, a U.S. nuclear submarine launched its missiles at the alien fleet. Several ships exploded, briefly lighting up the sky. These small victories came at a terrible cost. For every alien ship destroyed, a dozen human cities burned. As the battle raged, Lieutenant Michael Chang was racing against time. He had stolen an alien shuttle and was flying back to Earth, dodging enemy patrols. Come on," he muttered, pushing the strange controls to their limits. He had to warn Earth's leaders about the Council's true plans. Michael's shuttle burst out of hyperspace near the moon. His eyes widened in horror at the sight before him. Earth, his beautiful home, was surrounded by enemy ships. Fires were visible even from space. "No," he whispered, tears forming in his eyes. Suddenly, his shuttle rocked with weapons fire. Council ships had spotted him. Michael gritted his teeth and dove towards Earth, weaving through the deadly barrage. The shuttle caught fire as it entered the atmosphere. Warning lights flashed everywhere. Michael aimed for a field outside of what was left of Washington, D.C. With a bone-jarring crash, the shuttle plowed into the ground. Michael, battered and bleeding, dragged himself from the wreckage. In the distance, he could see the ruins of the Capitol. "I have to reach them," he gasped, stumbling towards the city. Meanwhile, in a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Laura Chen received the worst news of her life. "Madam President," General Rodriguez said, her face grim on the video screen, "we've lost contact with Europe and most of Asia. Our forces are overwhelmed. We need to consider the unthinkable." Laura closed her eyes, the weight of the world crushing down on her. "You mean our nuclear arsenal?" "Yes, ma'am. It may be our only chance." Before Laura could respond, an aide burst into the room. "Madam President, we've got a man here. Says he's from the delegation to the Galactic Council. He has critical information." Michael Chung was led in, barely able to stand. His eyes locked with the president's. "Madam President," he said, his voice hoarse, "I know why they're attacking, and I know how we might be able to stop them." As alien ships continued to rain death from above, the fate of humanity now rested on the knowledge of one man who had escaped the Council's treachery. The darkest hour in Earth's history had arrived, but with it came a glimmer of hope, a chance for humanity to strike back against the stars themselves. In the dim light of the underground bunker, President Laura Chen leaned forward, her eyes fixed on Lieutenant Michael Chung. "What do you mean? You know how to stop them." Michael took a deep breath. "Madam President, before I left for the Galactic Council, I was part of a top-secret project. We called it Project Supernova." A hush fell over the room. General Rodriguez stepped closer, her interest piqued. Michael continued, 5 years ago, we discovered a way to trigger stars to go supernova. We built a device that could do it from light years away. President Chen's eyes widened. That's impossible. We thought so too, Michael said. But Dr. Emily Seto proved it could be done. She led the project. General Rodriguez interjected. Where is Dr. Sato now? We need her. Michael's face fell. She was with our delegation to the council. I saw her taken prisoner before I escaped. Silence filled the room as the implications sank in. They had a weapon that could destroy entire star systems, but the one person who fully understood it was in enemy hands. President Chen stood up, determination in her eyes. Where is this device now? Hidden, Michael replied. In an underground lab beneath the New Mexico desert. But it's not finished. Dr. Seto was still working on the targeting system when we left for the council meeting. The bunker shook as another alien bombardment hit the surface. Dust fell from the ceiling. We're running out of time, General Rodriguez said grimly. Earth's defenses are crumbling. If we're going to use this weapon, it has to be soon. President Chen nodded. Lieutenant Chung, you're going to take a team to New Mexico. Get that device and bring it here. General Rodriguez, assemble our best scientists. They need to finish what Dr. Seto started. As Michael prepared to leave, a young scientist named Dr. Alex Wong approached him. I worked with Dr. Sato, he said. I'm not as brilliant as she is, but I might be able to help finish the device. Michael nodded gratefully. You're with me then. Hours later, a battered transport helicopter touched down in the New Mexico desert. Michael, Dr. Wong, and a team of Special Forces soldiers emerged, scanning the desolate landscape. There, Michael pointed to a hidden entrance in a cliff face. That's the lab. As they approached, the ground shook. In the distance, they saw the glow of alien ships descending. They found us, one of the soldiers shouted. Inside, now, Michael ordered. The team raced into the lab, sealing the heavy doors behind them. Banks of computers and strange machinery filled the room. At the center stood a device about the size of a car, covered in blinking lights and antenna-like protrusions. Dr. Wong rushed to the main computer. This is it, he said in awe. Project Supernova. Michael joined him. Can you finish it? Alex's fingers flew over the keyboard. I think so, but it'll take time. Suddenly, alarms blared. On a security screen, they saw alien troops approaching the lab entrance. We don't have time, Michael said grimly. He turned to the Special Forces team. Hold them off. We need to get this device working. As the sounds of battle echoed through the lab, Michael and Alex worked frantically. Lines of code scrolled across screens. The device hummed to life. It's working, Alex exclaimed. But, oh no. What is it? Michael asked, dread in his voice. Alex looked up, his face pale. The targeting system. It's locked onto the nearest star. You mean? Our sun, Alex confirmed. If we activate this now, we'll destroy our own solar system. The lab doors began to glow red as the aliens used their weapons to cut through. They were almost out of time. Michael stared at the device, the weight of an impossible choice on his shoulders. Could they find a way to save Earth without destroying it? Or had humanity's last hope become its final doom? As alien weapons fire echoed closer, Michael knew he had to make a decision that would determine the fate of Earth and perhaps the entire galaxy. As chaos reigned on Earth, a sleek spaceship slipped silently through the stars. Inside, Captain Zara Patel checked her disguise one last time. Her skin was now a pale blue, her eyes unnaturally large. She looked like a perfect copy of a Xantharian, one of the Galactic Council's member species. Remember, she said to her team, we're merchants from the Outer Rim. Stick to the story. The ship docked at a massive space station orbiting a gas giant. This was Nexus Prime, one of the Galactic Council's major hubs. As Zara and her team disembarked, they were surrounded by aliens of all shapes and sizes. Their mission was clear: gather intelligence, find weaknesses, and, if possible, locate the captured Earth diplomats. Meanwhile, on a distant mining planet, Agent Jack Harper wiped sweat from his brow as he swung his pickaxe. He'd infiltrated a labor camp weeks ago, posing as a prisoner of war. The work was backbreaking, but it gave him access to the planet's communication hub. Every night, Jack secretly transmitted data back to Earth. He'd already uncovered the locations of several Council military bases and the schedules of their patrol fleets. But tonight was different. As he tapped out his coded message, he overheard two guards talking. "Did you hear?" One said. "They're moving the human prisoners tomorrow, taking them to the High Council itself for questioning." Jack's heart raced. This was the break they'd been waiting for. Back on Nexus Prime, Zora's team moved through crowded markets and seedy bars. They picked up snippets of conversation, bartered for information with precious gems from Earth. In a dimly lit cantina, Zora met her contact, a tentacled alien named Six. It slid a data chip across the table. "Be careful with that," Six whispered. "It contains the access codes for the Council's main defense network. If they catch you with it." Zara nodded grimly. "They won't." But as she left the cantina, she noticed two security drones following her. Had they been discovered? On Earth, in the underground bunker, President Chen received Jack's urgent message. "We have a chance to rescue our people," she told General Rodriguez. "But it's risky. We'd be sending a team right into the heart of enemy territory." The general nodded. "I have just the squad for this. They call themselves the Ghost Team. If anyone can pull this off, it's them." As preparations for the rescue mission began, alarms suddenly blared. On the main screen, they saw a Council battleship descending towards their hidden base. "How did they find us?" President Chen demanded. "Ma'am," a technician called out, "we're detecting a signal. It's coming from inside the bunker." Realization dawned on General Rodriguez's face. "We have a traitor among us." In the depths of space, Jack Harper had managed to sneak aboard the prison transport carrying the Earth diplomats. He moved silently through the ship's corridors, disabling security systems as he went. Finally, he reached the cell block. Through a small window, he saw Ambassador Sarah Chen and the others. They looked weak but alive. Just as Jack was about to open the cell, a cold voice spoke behind him. Well, what do we have here?" Jack turned slowly. Standing there was High Counselor Zaxthar himself, flanked by armed guards. "Did you really think you could fool us, human?" Zaxthar sneered. "We've known about your spies from the beginning. In fact, we've been feeding you exactly the information we wanted you to have." Jack's mind raced. If what Zaxthar said was true, then Earth's entire intelligence operation was compromised. Every plan, every secret mission, might be playing right into the Council's hands. As Zaxthar's guards moved to capture him, Jack made a desperate decision. He pulled out a small device, an emergency beacon that would broadcast his location to every Earth ship in the sector. "You may have outsmarted us," Jack said, his finger on the beacon's button. "But we're not beaten yet." He pressed the button, knowing it would bring the full might of Earth's remaining fleet down on this ship. It was a move that could save the diplomats, or doom them all. As alarms blared and the ship rocked with sudden impacts, Jack locked eyes with Zaxthar. The final battle for Earth's future was about to begin. The room was silent as President Laura Chen stared at the holographic display. It showed a small, unassuming planet on the edge of Galactic Council space. "This is Outpost Zeta," General Rodriguez explained. "It's a minor colony, but strategic. Taking it out would cripple the Council's supply lines in this sector." Dr. Alex Wong stepped forward, his face pale but determined. "The Supernova device is ready, Madam President. We've managed to adjust its targeting system. We can hit Outpost Zeta's star without risking our own solar system." President Chen closed her eyes, the weight of the decision heavy on her shoulders. After a long moment, she nodded. "Do it." In the New Mexico lab, Now converted into a command center, Dr. Wong's fingers flew over the controls. The Supernova device hummed to life, its antennas glowing with otherworldly energy. Targeting Outpost Zeta's star, Dr. Wong announced. Firing in 3, 2, 1. A beam of invisible energy shot out from Earth, traveling faster than light itself. For a few tense seconds, nothing happened. Then, on the holographic display, Outpost Zeta's star began to swell. In a blinding flash, it exploded, engulfing the entire solar system in a cataclysmic blast. Cheers erupted in the command center. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had struck back. But the victory was short-lived. Alarms blared as new reports flooded in. "Madam President," a communications officer called out, "we're picking up transmissions from all over Council space. They're in panic. Some are blaming each other for the supernova." On screens around the room, they watched as confusion spread across the galaxy. Some council members accused others of testing a new weapon. Old rivalries flared up, and soon shots were being fired between former allies. "My God," General Rodriguez whispered, "we've started a civil war within the council." President Chen's eyes hardened. "Then let's use this chaos to our advantage. Prepare for Phase 2. Across the galaxy, Earth's hidden agents sprang into action. On the planet Crix Prime, Captain Zora Patil infiltrated a council database, planting false information that suggested the Crixians were behind the supernova attack. In the Nebula Belt, a team of human saboteurs disabled a major council shipyard, leaving hundreds of warships stranded. And on Earth itself, the resistance grew stronger. People emerged from hiding, emboldened by the news of the counterattack. They fought back against the alien occupiers with renewed vigor. But the council wasn't defeated yet. High Counselor Zaxthar, his blue skin pale with rage, addressed the remaining loyal members. "This treachery will not stand," he roared. "The humans have revealed themselves as the threat we always knew they were. We must unite and crush them once and for all." As Zaxthar spoke, a small group of prisoners were being led through the council headquarters. Among them was Dr. Emily Sato, the original creator of the supernova device. Despite weeks of torture, she had refused to reveal Earth's secrets. But now, hearing the news of the device's use, a small smile played on her lips. "What are you smiling about, human?" a guard snarled. Dr. Sato looked up, her eyes blazing with defiance. "You have no idea what's coming." Back on Earth, President Chen addressed the nation and the world through a secure broadcast. "People of Earth," she began, her voice steady and strong. "Today, we have shown the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night. We have struck a blow against our oppressors, and this is only the beginning." As she spoke, the supernova device was being prepared for another shot. Dr. Wong had managed to reduce its recharge time, making it an even more formidable weapon. "To any council members who can hear this," President Chen continued, "know that we are willing to negotiate, end this war, and we can find peace. But if you continue to threaten our existence, we will have no choice but to fight back with everything we have." The broadcast ended, and for a moment, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. The next move would determine the fate of not just Earth, but countless civilizations across the stars. As both sides prepared for the next phase of the war, one thing was clear: the galaxy would never be the same again. The vastness of space lit up with explosions as Earth and Galactic Council fleets clashed. What had started as Earth's desperate defense had now become a full-scale galactic war. Admiral Jane Foster stood on the bridge of the ESS Avenger, Earth's newest and most powerful warship. She watched as her fighters swarmed around a massive Council battlecruiser. "Target their engine cores," she ordered. "Fire when ready." The Avenger's main cannon charged up, drawing power from Earth's reverse-engineered alien tech. A beam of pure energy lanced out, slicing through the Council ship's defenses. As the enemy ship exploded, a cheer went up from the crew. But Jane's face remained grim. This was just one battle in a war that spanned the galaxy. On the planet Viridian, once a peaceful council world, human and alien soldiers fought in the streets. Captain Miguel Sanchez led his squad through the ruins of an alien city. "Watch for snipers," he warned. "These buildings are perfect hiding spots." Suddenly, a beam of energy sizzled past Miguel's head. "Cover," he yelled, diving behind a fallen statue. As his team returned fire, Miguel couldn't help but marvel at how quickly humans had adapted to alien weapons and tactics. Necessity, it seemed, was truly the mother of invention. Back on Earth, in the underground command center, President Chen received updates from across the battlefront. "Madam President," General Rodriguez reported, "we've liberated 3 more council worlds. But our losses are heavy." Chen nodded solemnly. "And what of our new allies?" A hologram flickered to life, showing a reptilian alien with gleaming scales. This was Ambassador Zix of the Saurian Empire, once part of the Council, but now Earth's strongest ally. "The Saurian fleet has engaged the Council forces in the Orion sector," Zix hissed. "We have them on the run." As Earth's influence grew, more and more alien races had defected from the Council. Some joined out of fear of the Supernova device, others out of genuine belief in Earth's cause. But not all the news was good. Dr. Alex Wong burst into the room, his face pale. "Madam President, we've detected a massive energy buildup in the Andromeda galaxy. It seems the Council has built their own version of our Supernova device." A hush fell over the room. If the Council could now destroy stars at will, the entire nature of the war would change. In the depths of space, on a secret Council base, High Counselor Zaxthar stood before a device that mirrored Earth's great weapon. "At last," he growled, "we have the power to end this war once and for all. Prepare to fire on Earth's sun." But before he could give the order, alarms blared. On the view screen, a fleet of ships appeared, led by the stolen Council ship that Agent Jack Harper had commandeered months ago. Jack's voice crackled over the comms. "This ends now, Zaxthar. We're taking that weapon, and we're taking you into custody." As the 2 fleets engaged in a desperate battle, Dr. Emily Seto worked furiously in the bowels of Jack's ship. She had been rescued in a daring raid, and now she raced to complete a device that could neutralize both supernova weapons. "Just a few more minutes," she muttered, her fingers flying over the controls. The battle raged on. Earth ships, now augmented with advanced alien tech, held their own against the Council's best. But both sides knew that whoever controlled the supernova devices would ultimately win the war. In a daring maneuver, Jack's ship broke through the Council's defenses, heading straight for the base. "Brace for impact," Jack yelled as they crashed through the outer walls. As alarms blared and smoke filled the corridors, Jack led a team of human and alien allies towards the heart of the base. Their goal: capture Zaxthar and secure the Council's supernova device. But Zaxthar wasn't going down without a fight. As Jack's team rounded a corner, they found themselves face to face with the High Counselor himself, wielding a weapon of terrifying power. "You've lost, humans," Zaxthar snarled. "Even if you take this base, we have fleets across the galaxy ready to reduce your worlds to ash." Jack stood his ground, his own weapon raised. "It's you who've lost, Zaxthar. This war ends today, one way or another." As the 2 leaders faced off, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The next few moments would determine whether peace would be achieved, or if the stars themselves would burn in the fires of unending war. The corridor of the Council's secret base crackled with energy as Jack Harper and High Counselor Zaxthar faced each other, weapons raised. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Suddenly, a voice crackled over Jack's comm. It was Dr. Emily Sato. "Jack, I've done it. The neutralizer is ready. But you need to get both supernova devices in range." Jack's mind raced. He needed to get Zaxthar to the room where the Council's supernova device was kept. "You want to end this war?" Zaxthar, Jack called out. Then let's end it. Your weapon against ours. Winner takes all. Zaxthar's eyes narrowed. You're bluffing, human. Am I? Your spies must have told you we brought our device. So what's it going to be? Or are you afraid? Pride and anger flashed in Zaxthar's eyes. Very well. Follow me, if you dare. As they moved towards the weapon room, Jack secretly transmitted its location to the Earth fleet above. Everything now depended on timing and a little bit of luck. Meanwhile, in Earth's command center, President Chen watched the situation unfold via Jack's hidden camera. All ships, she ordered, prepare to jump to the transmitted coordinates on my mark. In space, Admiral Foster's fleet positioned itself. The ESS Avenger's engines hummed, ready for the jump to light speed. Back in the Council base, Jack and Zaxthar entered the vast chamber housing the Supernova device. Earth's own weapon, captured during the battle, sat at the opposite end. Now what, human? Zaxthar sneered. Jack smiled. Now, we change the game. He pressed a button on his wrist device. Suddenly, the room filled with the sound of materializing ships. The Earth fleet, led by the Avenger, had used experimental teleportation technology to jump directly into the base. Zaxthar roared in anger, realizing he'd been tricked. But before he could react, Dr. Seto's neutralizer activated. A wave of energy washed over both Supernova devices, rendering them inert. It's over, Zaxthar, Jack said, as Earth Marines surrounded them. Your weapon is useless, and your fleet is outmatched. Admiral Foster's voice came over the comms. The Council fleet is standing down, sir. They're requesting terms of surrender. As Zaxthar was led away in custody, Jack allowed himself a moment of relief. The war that had threatened to tear the galaxy apart was finally over. In the days that followed, representatives from Earth and former Council worlds gathered to discuss the future. The Galactic Council was officially dissolved, replaced by a new alliance of free worlds. President Chen, now hailed as a galactic peacemaker, addressed the first meeting of the new alliance. We stand here today, not as conquerors, but as partners, she said, her voice carrying across the Grand Hall. The war brought much suffering, but from its ashes, we have the opportunity to build something greater. A true union of worlds, where all species are treated with equality and respect. As Chen spoke, screens around the hall showed scenes from across the galaxy. Former enemies worked together to rebuild shattered worlds. Earth scientists shared their knowledge freely, helping to uplift less advanced civilizations. In a surprising turn, some of the most enthusiastic supporters of the new alliance were former Council races who had chafed under the old regime's restrictive rules. We always knew humans were different, Ambassador Zix of the Saurians said in an interview. Now we see that difference as strength, not a threat. The Supernova devices, their power too great for any one world to control, were dismantled. In their place, a network of defense stations was built, jointly controlled by all alliance members. As for the heroes of the war, they found themselves adjusting to peace in different ways. Jack Harper became Earth's first ambassador to the alliance. Dr. Emily Sato led a new initiative to use the supernova research for peaceful energy production. And Admiral Foster oversaw the transformation of Earth's war fleet into an exploration and peacekeeping armada. Years passed, and the scars of war began to heal. Earth, once seen as a backwater world, now stood as a respected leader in galactic affairs. Humans and aliens worked side by side, exploring the farthest reaches of the universe. As President Chen looked out at the stars from her office window, she reflected on the long, hard road that had brought them here. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in galactic history, it was filled with hope. Earth had not only survived, but thrived. And the stars, once a battlefield, now promised endless possibilities for all.